Look deeply into my eyes.
Welcome back to another episode of Men on Trek. Admiral Red Shirt on deck with Captains Daystrom and Palpatine, Lieutenant Commander Audio Arthur on the ones and twos. Welcome back, gentlemen. Tonight's
and
episode,
ladies,
season 2. Talking to you guys. Okay, welcome back, ladies.
make it clear if you're
Season 2, episode 9. Captain's Confused. Tonight's episode, Spectre of the Gun. Season 3, episode 6 of the original series, originally aired on October 25th, 1968.
Before we move on, I thought you were talking about the audience. Welcome back to the audience.
Not paying attention.
He always welcomes us back.
That's true, I do. You are welcome.
Okay.
You ready? So, Spectre of the Gun. We come in. The Enterprise is already on red alert.
First, where does it land on your list?
Top. Probably in the top 100.
So it's in the series, and you're good.
You know, I mean, I'm honest. We watched it again, and it wasn't as good as I remember it to be. But I think, I don't know, I'm just being more critical now. It's kind of a Corbomite maneuver with handguns.
With 6 shooters.
Yeah. You start to see
the patterns.
You start to see the patterns and the recycling and everything, but it's still...
It is interesting looking at it from what you perceived as a child when we first saw it.
Yeah.
And then looking at it after the fact. I know this episode always left me a little... how do I put it? Off kilter.
Off-putting.
Yeah, it something didn't jive right with the episode. Like I sort of mentioned while we were watching it, you know, it's portions of the episode that wasn't conveyed in a way that
to your satisfaction.
Yeah, that made it right for me.
I was thinking this is kind of the inverse of when we covered City on the Edge of Forever, and we talked about what we got out of it as children versus when we look at it as adults. And City on the Edge of Forever is a lot deeper as an adult looking at it. I think this is the inverse. I think I thought this was a cool episode when I was a kid because it was cowboys and there were 6 shooters. And when I look at it now as an adult, it's kind of like,
You know, I mean, for me, I think it's. I started to notice that. Remember in Tropic Thunder where Robert Downey Jr.'s character was playing a character who was playing a character?
Yes.
Like the characters in this, the supporting characters, are very good, and they're in this world that's created, and it almost feels like Sir William was acting in front of actors.
No, it seemed like the secondary characters were more real than the primary.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It didn't. For some reason, it just never. It doesn't
fit.
It doesn't.
It's
fit.
just something off about it. That's what I'm talking about. You know, how do you put it into words? It's like it just doesn't fit. There's something off about it, and I think for me, it is that the sets weren't complete.
I think that
throws me off. I know they
did
it for a reason. It was a
deliberate choice. Yeah,
they did it for a reason, but it throws it off because the way the characters responded to the scenario they were in didn't match the reality we see
as the viewer.
As a viewer.
Yeah, and I think some of that was deliberate choices because when we were looking at it, while I found, like I said, I found less meat in it looking at it now through the eyes of an adult, but there were certain design choices they made, and there's a whole minimalist quality to it, to the entire episode, and I think it's deliberate. Like, for example, they give you the western town, but they don't give you the whole town. They give you pieces of the town. And the deliberate, like, red sky, which is clearly alien. So they drop you back supposedly into Tombstone, but clearly that's not the Earth.
Well, the other thing is too, though, they would show incomplete or just the front of the saloon, and then the next scene they would be in it.
But the saloon still didn't necessarily have walls.
Right.
The saloon still didn't have
walls. It was a very minimalist.
Yeah.
It was a very minimalist kind of improvisational approach.
So it comes to the point of the director and the producer, what they were trying to get over in the story by visuals alone.
Mm-hmm.
They use that as part of the storytelling mechanism, the visuals. Beyond just nowadays the snappy special effects, they have very minimalist set, but it's an incomplete set, and it leads you to feel that something's not quite right with what's going on.
This might be one of the few times we always talk about one of the things we like about how old Trek is written. You find out as the crew finds out. And in this one, there's almost a situation where they're giving you something the crew doesn't have ahead of time.
No, but they have it. They
do and they don't. They do and they don't.
They make the statement that we only, because they mention it in the episode, that they're only getting partial view of the town.
Just enough for what the Malkotians have.
And Spock says, well, maybe their information is incomplete and they couldn't complete the rest of the town. Mm-hmm. So the crew is seeing what you're seeing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they act like it's more to it than obviously it's incomplete.
There could be a level of genius here that we're just not recognizing, because what I'm thinking is that how the uncomfortableness of us understanding and processing the reality of the performances and the sets was on purpose.
That's kind of what I'm driving.
So this is what my support is for that, and we're jumping around here a little bit, but that's okay.
We're good. I'll catch us up once we pull.
Yeah, they appear on the planet, but you don't see them beam down. And at first, I'm like, why did we skip the beam down scene? That's always there. It's because it didn't occur.
Right.
And the beam up doesn't occur.
Yeah, let's slow down, because we're getting into spoilers, and we might as well take our time through
spoil. We're here
through the episode. Well, let's start at the beginning.
Let the red shirt do what he does.
Do what you do, Red Shirt. Admiral.
Once again, the Federation is forcing their way on a super intelligent species.
Let Admiral bring it out.
Well, no, you don't want me to skip this, because I'm going to tell you, Daystrom, that you were right.
I know I'm right.
This is more proof. This is more proof. This is more proof. Whatever. Don't give it to him. He don't deserve it.
Give it to me.
He don't deserve it. No. Our episode.
I'll just do it. I am great.
Yeah, you are.
You're not necessarily.
You're okay. You're okay. The episode opens up. The Enterprise is another great remastered shot of the ship.
Unnecessary pan.
Yeah.
Across and around.
Awesome.
Hold on, before you move on, let's just stop with that. That's fan service.
Yeah.
In anime, fan service is big-breasted anime chicks.
Right.
Or half-neck. I'm just saying.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what they call fan service. That's what it comes. That's where the crux of it comes from. This is what? This is
unapologetic fan service.
Unapologetic
beautiful
service.
Panoramic view of the Enterprise.
Beautiful
20 seconds.
Panoramic view of the naked Enterprise. just there for you to suck it up.
Well, I felt very serviced. I was happy. I was very happy. Enterprise, great shot of the Enterprise in the remaster. Comes in, you arrive on the bridge, and they are already in crisis mode. They are already at an alert. And as we kind of alluded to earlier or mentioned earlier, they are in the process of trying to avoid, fly around, back away from, outmaneuver a glowing rainbow type probe.
That has also been updated.
That has been heavily
very HD.
Yeah.
Could you see on there that there was designs?
Yes.
That were going
and moving parts and the whole nine. I mean, totally redid it.
Whoever was part of the remaster of Star Trek, the original.
A fantastic job.
You gentlemen or ladies deserve a hand clap.
Absolutely.
You people.
They.
You people that did the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely deserves a hand clap because the ship is beautiful.
So the Enterprise is already at red alert. They're trying to outrun a probe. Much like we've seen before, they cannot outmaneuver the probe at all. And after a few attempts, they get a message from the probe. Probe says from the Malkotians. And here's the different part. The probe says it's from the Malkotians. It tells them under no circumstances are they to approach.
Well, it calls them aliens.
And disease.
Yeah, later on. Yeah.
Awesome. You are aliens. You are disease.
Must be kept out.
Disease comes later, but the probe doesn't use the word disease.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out.
Once again.
That Daystrom is right. And the imperialist.
That's the
expansionist federation has ordered our heroes to force contact with the Malkotians and open up negotiations at all costs. They have no choice.
You peace-loving Star Trek fans who believe it's all rosy in the Federation, look at the episodes again and see how many times the Federations have violated somebody else's space,
sovereign space,
with no regard to what that other race wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like
this is another one.
Little manifest destiny going on here.
The Malkotians say, by no means are you allowed in our territory, and this is your final warning.
Yeah.
And Kirk looks at Spock, and he's like, yeah, we got orders.
Kirk goes, but we come in peace. Hit the gas, boys.
We got orders.
And
our orders
forward.
Supersede your sovereignty.
It does.
We coming anyway.
Like when England invited themselves to Japan in the 1700s.
Beautiful shot of the Enterprise, just passing all logic.
That's just fan service.
Oh
my God.
Crossing the border.
Awesome shot of the Enterprise blowing past the probe.
That's right.
And heading in.
Yeah. But there was a great part we missed. When the probe spoke, Kirk goes English and Spock goes, no, it was Vulcan. And he's like, no, it was Russian.
Swahili.
Yeah.
Everybody heard it in their native tongue.
And that's where Spock gives a warning. And he says, they said, oh, it's telepathy. And Spock says something along the lines.
True telepaths.
Two telepaths are what do you say? Rather imposing to deal with. It's like, you're we're talking about psionics here.
That's right.
Yeah.
That means they're in your mind.
That's right.
Captain, let's not.
Telepathy is a gentle exchange of things. Psionics are mental attacks. That's what I call them.
Yeah. So. Spock's like, Captain, let's not do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not do this.
The captain is like, the Führer has told us we must contact the Malkotians. They will join us or die.
They've got orders.
To make contact at all costs.
And disobeying an order might not get you the ag booth in this universe, but it'll get you dethroned out of your chair.
Sure loses you a starship.
Yep.
So, random thought. How many other starships were lost because they had to make contact at all costs and they weren't as smart as the second starship?
Probably a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
They disappeared entering into blah, blah, blah sector.
Well, listen, think about this. We talk about this all the time. And what it takes to get into that center chair. If that's the best we can do, 12 of 13 of those ships failed.
Eventually.
And so is it the crew and the captain, or was it the boneheaded missions that they kept sending them on?
The boneheaded missions,
if you get into the lore, few of the ships bought it on their first 5-year cruise. Most of them were in their second or third cruise when they went down. So it's eventually you roll snake eyes and you draw out something you can't deal with. But yeah, it's that constant you gotta go, push.
How many in the Star Trek universe, how many episodes is Kirk and the crew forced to go somewhere and do something they don't want to do?
Too many.
Well, we don't even know.
So this is the point I'm getting into. Space is vast, but
five times in the episodes we've covered so far.
Space is vast, but space is predominantly empty. Starfleet is sending them to places that they know are habitable.
Inhabited.
And know they are inhabited. To make contact with a race that don't want to be messed with.
Right.
Potentially. Yeah. Potentially.
That's a bad lot, man. That's
expansionism.
I wonder if what was the motive based on the model of what they felt they couldn't get from the Vulcans. Because my understanding of it, it's not very deep, is that the first contact was with the Vulcans.
Yeah.
But the Vulcans didn't, like, give them much.
No, the Vulcans actually, if you factor in what they give you in the other series, the Vulcans actually held them back for quite some time.
Yeah.
That's if you accept the Enterprise series as canon to the original story.
Because it almost seems like the Federation is pushing out as quickly as it can to obtain knowledge and resources, and
absolutely.
I mean,
they're going hard.
I don't know how much
they're going hard. Yeah,
how much it is resources. I think they want compadres in the Wild Wild West.
No. How many episodes are they hunting for some dilithium?
Well, they got dilithium mines all over the place already. I think the problem is they want.
How much dilithium you need for 13 ships?
Well, there's more than 13.
I think the problem is they want support, because your ships are way out there. If there's a nearby planet way out another 50 sectors out, make contact with them, get them to join us, so that's a place where you could stop or run back to when you come across some problems.
Yeah,
they're looking to make the neighborhood watch.
Yeah, but when does no mean no in
It doesn't. It doesn't when you're an admiral sitting back at Earth.
But the problem is it's reinforced in this because, not jumping to the end, but, it looks like, unfortunately, this type of approach works sometimes.
They're putting the boldly in boldly where no man has gone before.
Yeah, we ain't stopping.
They're putting the boldly.
You can tell us no all you want to. Unless you destroy us, we coming.
And if you do destroy us, we're sending somebody else. Seems like.
Maybe that's what Daystrom in the Ultimate Computer was complaining about.
And he was just talking about the dangers of space, period.
Yeah, but are you sure that's all? That's what the show's about. But the implication of what Starfleet is doing, you guys think that you're all that and you created all this? You just keep sending people out here to die?
See, that leads us back to Frank Herbert and talking about that leadership that's, ultimately just...
According to Frank Herbert, the worst thing is a charismatic leader.
Right.
The worst thing is a charismatic leader.
Because he can lead the people down a path of destruction.
He can lead the people down a path of destruction. But
not prepare them to defend themselves against a path of destruction.
Right. The problem Herbert had was, or the way he wrote his story was, the leader could be all well and good, but he won't last forever. Who takes over the ship after the leader's gone?
Right.
Those people manipulate and destroy what the charismatic leader has gathered together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like any story. Look at Alexander the Great.
Yeah, his generals divided up his spoils and fought each other and ruined everything. While he was alive, they were unstoppable. Mm-hmm.
But as soon as he died, boom.
Yeah.
His empire gets quartered.
So we return to Kirk and company with no choice.
Now they say they're going to go to the transporter room. And then the next scene, we see them walking on the planet in a fog. And that's where I felt like that's where it started to go, you know what I'm saying? Like in my head, I'm starting to think, well, wait a second. We always see them beam down. And they didn't beam down in this, and I'm thinking, well, maybe the episode was too expensive, and they're trying to cut corners or something. But I think that ties into what Daystrom was saying earlier. They did things in this episode to make you feel unsettled mentally in patterns.
It took watching the episode and kind of talking to you guys about it, and even sitting here still thinking about it. But there's a genius in the presentation.
Yes.
And it's off-putting, and it kind of makes you like, I don't like it, but it's deliberate. They're suddenly on the planet in a fog, and the whole thing just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and you're kind of like, huh?
So
you're kind of like, what?
As you're saying, they're off-planet, they're in the fog, an unformed area.
Yeah.
Nothing's been formed.
Right.
We learn later on, I don't know if I should say it, but they haven't even left the ship yet. So the Melkotians are in their mind and haven't set up the place that they're going the execution is going to take place in.
They haven't necessarily made that decision yet because it comes out of something they do later.
But there's a like I said, there's a genius underneath this that's starting to become apparent because the Melkotians are taking the landing party and they're no longer in familiar surroundings and they're no longer on their ship. Like they put them basically in a formless void, and now they're going because you've got to focus, right? I mean, if you're on the ship, and how many times we've seen Kirk like doing something behind the scenes, like give me the command console code for the
signing off on paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Or even in the height of battle, he's multitasking, whatever. The Melkotians create a situation in which there's no distraction, there's no input, there's no communication, and they basically say, "You shouldn't have come here, and you are going to be punished for it."
But even before that, I don't think this is accidental. They somewhat systematically strip the things they lean on away from them.
Right.
Can't reach the ship. My tricorder doesn't work. When the Malkotian finally appears and does speak, Kirk goes to the phaser like, "Hey, don't want to fight," but in all reality, that phaser probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
No, they're not even off the ship. See, that's
right.
That's
in their minds.
In
their minds, they're taking these things away from them, and they don't know that.
So we're gonna have to get there because there's so many. It's hard to do this episode without the spoilers.
Well, it's spoiled. You said it 3 times, but
no. There's so much. There's so many little particular parts, and when we first saw it, as Captain Palpatine said, it's so ingenious. It's how it's written and how it's actually shown.
There's a subtlety to
it. Then now, after I've seen it and I've really thought about it,
right.
You start to go, wow, that's really impressive.
That's clever.
It's really clever how they did it.
Right.
The Melkotians are messing with your mind,
right,
as you're watching it. Like they made it so as though, because same with you, I always felt a sense of uneasiness about the episode. There's certain things I remember liking about it. There's a scene we'll talk about later where Scotty is, being a guinea pig, and when I was a kid, I just always loved that, the way he did that scene, because he didn't have to do what he did.
Yeah.
As an actor, he
willingly.
Oh, he committed a lot to that because anyways, we'll get there. But yeah, there you are being placed in a very similar environment to the crew, in that your surroundings and what you're used to seeing and coming through the television is being altered.
What is that? It's kind of become cliche now. What is that term they use now when they disrupt your expectations?
Oh,
subverting your expectations. This is really subverting your expectations. And it's done so well that you actually get a little mad about it.
It's done for a purpose that fits the overall.
That's what I mean.
It's
done correctly instead of arbitrarily.
It's not a subverting of your purpose just for the sake of subverting your purpose.
Right.
It's subverting your purpose with an ends to a mean, so that when the episode is concluded, you go, wow, like we're doing now.
Right.
And this is somewhat 40 years later. We're going,
wow. Well, no. What I'm thinking back on is like even when we were watching the episode together, your initial kind of visceral reaction, like this doesn't make any sense. That was awesome because you were taking it in and you were like, it was like, huh?
Well, that's the point I'm getting at.
You were like, huh?
As a child, it passes you. This
goes right over.
Stuff goes right over your head.
Goes right over your head. You just accept it.
Sitting there as an adult and you start to pull it apart, you're like, hold on, that doesn't make sense. I was watching a show, and I'm not going to say what the show was. There are times that in today's writing, they say stuff and do stuff and totally break or go against what they said and did a moment ago, which makes no sense.
It's just poor writing
for the story.
Yeah.
But in Star Trek, everything they did played into the story. They didn't say stuff just to say it.
Right.
And it's like a character dies in a movie, and you resurrect him the next second. What did that do? Oh, I got an emotional pull out of you for the moment. But it didn't add anything to the story.
Right. No consequence.
Here in Star Trek, the original series, every point has a purpose. Everything has a meaning that leads to the overall enjoyment of the story. This wasn't written for children.
No, this certainly wasn't.
This was prime time. This was something for adults to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the planet. We didn't see them beam down. They're in a smoky area, and Spock's got the tricorder out. Well, the area we supposedly beamed to
tricorder doesn't work.
Didn't have any. Right. Well, he said, but before the area we beamed to didn't have any smoke.
Yeah.
It would be clear skies.
No fog. Right.
No fog. The tricorder doesn't work. The communicator doesn't work. The phasers.
They never tried, but they probably don't work.
Don't work. The first thing came to my mind, and this is as an adult, but as a child, I didn't perceive it. They're not allowing them to see that the equipment is working. Remember the cage?
Right.
He takes his phaser, he fires it.
Nothing happens, but in reality,
nothing happens.
Yeah.
The phaser worked.
Yeah, but they were messing with their minds.
The brain, the entities in the cage. The big head, the big booty heads, didn't allow them to see that the phaser worked. And this is what came to mind here.
Sophisticated men on track description.
This is what came to mind here. That they're looking at the tricorder and didn't allow them.
The tricorder wasn't working at all.
Didn't allow. But my perception was.
That it was working, but they just weren't allowed to see the results.
It was working, and they weren't allowed to see the results.
It was so much deeper than that.
But see, that's my initial perception.
Right.
Right.
But there's so much.
Well, that's to Palpatine's point. This is an episode that none of us were like nuts about then or now. But as we really dig into it, it's like, oh, this is pretty.
It's pretty cool.
This is pretty sophisticated.
It's just like art. I mean, you can walk through a museum and see 50 pieces of art, and they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You may not like it, but if you study it and you start to see it, and it's not that we didn't like the episodes. There's just some episodes that are our favorites, and other ones that we don't like as much. You know, and there's some that we hate, like Harry Mudd. But in this one, you kept saying, "I don't." What was he saying?
This doesn't make sense.
It
why
doesn't make any sense.
I don't get why they're doing that.
I don't get why they're doing this. This doesn't make any sense. And it's like, that's what they're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Is that this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is an episode. This is an episode where you're kind of perplexed and somewhat unhappy until you really kind of take a look back at it and go, "Oh, okay."
But the characters are perplexed. One thing that Star Trek has always done is not giving the audience more information than the characters in the show have.
Right.
But this one time, you're right, and they don't. But they're messing with you and them at the same time. So there's a moment.
Yeah,
there's a moment where you feel like I'm ahead of the game. I know what's going on, and they don't. But you don't.
Nope.
It's really well done when you kind of contemplate it.
It's almost like you have to slow it down, and you got to give your brain time to go, why is this so, why does this feel so confusing? And it's because the characters are feeling that it's confusing as well.
And you're right there with them.
Yep.
And you can't really, and the great part is they don't let you off the train early. You can't really get there.
No, you get to a certain point, and then, like I said, or you said this idea of like, well, we're going to subvert your expectations. There's an item that comes up. We'll talk about it. And then you go, I don't think that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then you find out it wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
And then you're like, well, that changes everything. and the characters are saying it either a second before you or a second after you.
Right.
Yeah.
Changes everything. They're in the fog.
And the Malkosian appears.
The Malkosian appears and starts talking to them.
Tells them they're going to get it.
Which, by the way, I've always appreciated the Malkosian. I like that alien. There's some aliens I didn't like, but I like that alien.
He looks like an alien.
He does.
He's an alien.
There's no mouth. The eyes are glowing, and he's a telepath.
He's a floating head.
And for the well, he has a neck. No, he has a neck, but that's all he's got.
Yeah.
That's all you see. But for the remaster, all they did was sharpen up the image a little bit and enhance the eyes and some of the fog, but they don't mess with the actual creature design very much.
No.
And it's good, but what I like about it in this part is they say, we told you not to come here. The sentence is death. Captain, you're responsible. It was your call.
Well, you know who ripped that off? That's Ghostbusters.
Oh, I was just thinking that. I was waiting for the Admiral to quit talking because I was going to say, choose the form of your destroyer.
I didn't choose. Did you choose?
I didn't choose.
Who thought of the staple of Marshmallow Man?
I was always happy. I was always happy that Gozer took the form. She did.
The form of your destroyer.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ghostbusters send Star Trek some money. But yeah, they hold the captain responsible, which I thought was a nice little bit because it's not just some generic, you dare to come here, we're going to destroy you. It's like, oh no, we know how this works, Captain. You made the call. So we're pulling this death sentence out of your head.
Well, it would be a fear. I mean, if you think about it as a captain, is that, you're there with your crew and somebody calls you out in front of them and says, you're the reason they're going to die.
Yes.
It's your decision. Now, everyone knows that, but they had the guts to say it back in the 1960s where it's like, you're the command. There was a movie, I think it was The Martian. And they were talking about, they got the message that, Goodwill Hunting was alive.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, and the commander goes, "It's my fault. I left him behind. It's my fault." And they were all like, "No, no, no." And I'm sitting there going like, "Yeah, it is your fault.
That's your fault. You didn't account for your people."
Well, you're a commander in a dangerous mission. Do you think that you're not going to make decisions that are going to cost people their lives, and your preparation for that is to pout and walk away? It's like, well, and the other thing is, who says that in front of their crew? Oh yeah, I screwed up with him and killed him. Boy, I feel bad. And it's like the rest of your crew doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah, I'm looking at you like, get away from me.
Exactly. Maybe we should have a vote here.
I'll do better next time, guys. That's right. Promise.
Hopefully, I won't kill you next.
But see, that's bad writing. That's the bad writing that we're dealing with today, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, well,
it's terrible.
So, I enjoyed. I kind of enjoyed how you got upset about this at this point. You were like, "This doesn't make sense."
No, we haven't quite got there
yet.
But
we're
getting there. So they get the
sentence
right,
and the Malkotians
chooses the form of their destruction.
without being consulted. They
pulls it right out of his head.
They suddenly appear in a minimalist Art Deco Western town.
What was it, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, where they painted the town to look like hell?
No, that was High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter. Yeah.
That was a very surreal Western.
That's what I thought about that.
Yes, where he made him paint the town red, literally. Crazy movie. But you haven't seen High Plains Drifter? Oh, come on, people. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to them. Oh. Them. But go see High Plains Drifter. So, yeah, they appear in a Western town, strapped with 6 shooters.
Tombstone, Arizona, 1881. October 26th?
Didn't catch. Yeah.
Possibly. And wasn't that the date of the episode?
Close. Well, this is, we don't always catch it, but this is another Halloween episode.
Yeah, it is.
That's why they messed with us so bad.
But I think the debut date was October 26th, wasn't
25th.
it? Oh, okay. There you go.
They were close.
Yeah.
See?
Another Easter egg.
Genius of the writing, right? I mean, you don't think about it because we watched them out of order and reruns and stuff, but there was a purpose to what they did. There's holiday episodes. There's Halloween. All the weird episodes are turning out to be Halloween episodes. We just didn't know it.
What did they call it in during TV season when they put all the special shows on and all the blockbusters premiered and stuff?
Sweeps.
Yeah.
Sweeps weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to get the numbers up.
Yeah.
So, and here's where things get weird for us. They appear in the Western town, and we know the town's not real. I mean, and they call it out, like as Captain Daystrom said, they call it out. It's just enough of a town to work their scheme. It's just enough of a town for the Malkotians to kill us however they're planning to kill us. But the whole thing, and again, this is what jumped out at me and kind of led me into the same thought that Palpatine had. There's a genius here. The minimalistic town, the red sky. They didn't really drop you into Arizona. They dropped you into alien Tombstone, Arizona, and you know it, and they know it, and it's unsettling.
It's beyond the red sky. It's the buildings that are partially finished.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the minimalist building.
The front face of the building and a floor and some tables, some stuff inside, right. And it's like.
Do you remember the Twilight Zone episode where the guy? I think he had the watch that stopped time or something, or it was maybe it wasn't that episode, but somebody was walking an observer through this, and he looked down an alleyway, and things were incomplete.
Yeah.
And the guide said, "Well, nobody looks down there that second, so we didn't have to build that part of the reality." Right.
Yeah, that's the episode where the guy finds out the reality's being built.
Yes,
millisecond by millisecond by people that everybody else can't see.
Right.
Yeah. There's a whole crew of guys like building everything you see.
And there's a Matt Damon movie off of that.
Is it?
That thought. Yeah, where he's running around with the girl and God, I can't think of the name of the movie, but there is a Matt Damon movie off of that thought. Okay. But here we are in Star Trek, and they're now in Tombstone.
Right.
So the Malkotians have taken the idea and
out of Kirk's head,
formulated out of the mist this area that they're now in. Because it doesn't look like they're transported. We just go from one scene to another. And it's stated that what's going on, why there's only partial buildings. And Spock formulates a thought and offers it that maybe the Malkotians don't know enough of our history
to complete it.
To complete the whole thing. So
I think that was his way of logically trying to explain it.
I think so too.
But I think he was wrong.
I think so too. Well, in the conversation, they have the guns.
Right.
And McCoy makes a statement.
McCoy has a great line. Yes,
he says, although nothing seem complete,
these are very real.
Nothing seems to be real.
He's
like, this pea shooter I got.
These are real. Yes.
Tink, 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 tink is real.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets in your mind that they are there.
It sets in their mind.
No, I'm talking about the audience.
Yes.
It sets in the audience's mind because McCoy goes tink, tink,
but
tink.
But this is the cool part about it. It makes it real for the viewer, but that's the moment where they all buy in and say, yes, this is real.
That's the point.
I think what they buy into, and there's a symbolism in it, and maybe I'm stretching, but what McCoy says is that you can assume that everything around you is not real except your own death.
Your own death, right. We can die. We will die.
This is about us dying. Everything else that's around here maybe fabricated window dressing, but him tapping on that gun, and they had to make that's not a sound that was picked up by like a microphone on the set. Like that was added post, that tapping of that gun, and that's that reality of saying this symbolizes your death, and that's our purpose, and that's why we're here, is to die. Everything else is just, and you know what? You don't need a full saloon to die.
No.
So Kirk makes a statement, or I don't know if it was Kirk or not. I don't remember which one made the statement. He said these are just as deadly as phasers.
Yeah.
At short range.
At short range. That's Kirk. Kirk says that.
It'll put a hole in you.
And you will die.
Just as good as you being vaporized. And it will be the end of you.
And we didn't catch it at the time, but that's important because, again, this is where they buy in. This is where they accept the reality of their situation. And it traps them in a line of thinking. And that's what was driving you crazy because the key to the episode, this is a spoiler, but what the hell?
is that the key to this is that they know they have to force themselves not to believe that anymore.
Right.
Because McCoy in the early Spock analysis is that the only thing real is this and our death.
But Spock,
and they have to stop believing that.
But Spock walks them further into the trap. Because they realize they're in a historical reenactment, and Spock immediately goes, and history can't be changed.
That's right.
And that's what really traps them.
And that's what bugged me.
That's what traps them, yes.
It traps them.
And it bugs the viewer because you're like, well, if this is silly make-believe, why are you locked in?
Right. You're not constrained by history.
Right.
Now, the Malkotians can make anything happen from this standpoint.
Right.
But you're not constrained by history.
They lock themselves into the belief that this is a strict reenactment and it must play out the way it played out.
Right. It's almost that they use the Malkotians use the process of the logical interpretation of the situation against them to reinforce their vulnerability in the situation.
Yes.
They took advantage of their strengths and made them into the weaknesses that they needed to advance the scenario.
And made Captain Daystrom very upset.
So when you're looking at this episode, and as a child I didn't think about it, but now as an adult, I'm continuing to return to the cage and the aliens at the cage. When Spock makes mention on the bridge that you're dealing with a telepathic race, you are in for some trouble, because in essence, depending on the power of the telepath, you can't trust anything you see.
And he was speaking from
hear,
he was speaking from experience.
or even if you touch because Count Spock-ula changed a whole bunch of people's
That's not it.
perception.
That's not it. You've made it even a better connection. He's literally speaking from experience because of what happened to Captain Pike, and he was there.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
He was there.
That's right. That's a reference back to he's like telepaths can be imposing is what he said.
He might be the one guy still on the ship who's like, listen, second tour under Pike, things got bad.
Has the menagerie happened yet?
Yes.
So we already had that episode in Trek. Had it aired yet?
Yes.
I think Menagerie was season 2.
Yes.
This is season 3.
So you'd almost, in a real world context, you'd almost have Spock look at Kirk and go, remember that whole thing with Pike that we told you about and blah, blah, blah. Because it's there. It happened.
Well, Kirk saw it in the...
He saw it in the tapes.
No, when
the
history
went
through part 1 and part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you're dealing with...
Spock's not guessing here. Spock's like, if these guys can get in our brains,
we're done.
We should get out of Dodge.
It's strange. The Malkotians called them a disease, and I'm wondering if the reason the Malkotians were trying to remain quarantined was maybe because when they do that act, that they somehow bring some of those thought patterns. Like there's no free lunch. Like if they go in there and they manipulate those minds, does it change their minds to a certain degree? Because they call them a disease.
My thought was a little simpler. When you can see other people's minds, like I can see you. When you can do that mentally, think of all the ugly garbage in people's heads that you just don't want to deal with.
Oh yeah.
Not only that, if Malkotians are a race that's continuing to propagate, you have young Malkotians with the ability to influence humans. You think all the Malkotians are properly settled in society? Or wouldn't there be some criminal Malkotians that go,
Yeah, there's that.
I could commandeer a starship and I could rule a federation.
But at a high level, I'm just thinking they don't want the ugliness. They don't want to deal with all the garbage in your head.
That, as well as one of our race can get over there and
cause problems. Major problems.
So it's better for us to separate from them because we can influence too much.
And again, shame on the modern Trek writers. How is there no callback to a Malkotian? Why?
They're too hard to write.
They're
too hard to write. They'll mess it up.
You got a
He's unbeatable. He's Mr. MU.
But no, think about it. The Malkotians, let's say they join Starfleet behind this interaction long term. You got a Malkotian crew member?
Oh man, you dominate any Klingon you come against.
Anybody you come against. Short of going to visit the Organians or the Metrons, you're good. You're good. You got a Malkotian crew member?
So I was just looking at a video, and they had a Superman video game that has been canceled. And they've been trying to create a Superman video game. There's a reason I'm going down this line, so bear with me. The reason they canceled the Superman game is because they say he's too hard. It's too hard to create, because finding a storyline that fits all the powers Superman has,
it makes sense,
and a villain, it's almost impossible to do.
Yeah. So
every time they try to create one, they end up stopping because the story never makes sense.
Exactly.
Because of how powerful Superman is. Mm-hmm. Writing a story with telepaths of this capacity.
Yes, it's hard.
It's hard.
You got to ignore them.
So there's no point in doing it other than in some format like this.
But back to your point, both points actually, even extrapolating forward, you make contact with the Malkotians, everything goes great. You normalize relations. Maybe they even join the Federation. For the good of everybody involved, you probably limit contact.
Well, what was the Talos for?
Yeah.
Quarantine planet
right.
And you will die if you go there.
Yeah.
Like,
do not go to the brain, people.
No.
So Malkotian contact, for the good of everyone concerned, becomes limited and controlled.
Well, I think that what they're going to find out is that they're going to talk to the Malkotians, and they're going to figure out that we probably can't ever come back here. Right. And we need to make sure that no one else does. And that's what the Malkotians want.
Yeah, we'll help quarantine your planet, because it ain't no good nobody coming here.
We'll put a detour sign around your space. It
doesn't help us coming here. Doesn't help you for us to come here. You're like, say, Talos 4. Quarantine
planet, death penalty.
Death penalty.
Don't break the rules.
So they find themselves, and it is solidified in their mind that at least the guns in their hands are real, and the possibility of death.
That's their gateway into accepting scenario.
Real. Yep. And while they're having this conversation, someone comes up, the sheriff,
Behan,
and
identifies them.
Takes them
deeper.
Identifies them as
the Clantons.
The Clanton clan. Now, I remember as a kid, I always thought that the Earps were the bad guys and the Clantons were the good guys because of this episode.
Right.
But it's actually opposite that in history.
Yeah.
And kudos to those supporting actors in this.
The Earps.
There was even the sheriff.
Yeah.
He was like 100% cliche Western kind of buffoon sheriff, but when he had to act with Sir William in his face, it was on.
There's a stage quality to this episode, and it's perpetuated by the sparse sets.
Yes. I mean that's actually very profound, because it looks like a theatrical set. It's like what you would see on a stage.
Yes, and I'm betting there's a number of factors there. It's genius all the way around, but I'm sure budget was a concern. I'm sure at the end of the day they were on a backlot on the studio, and they decided to work with this Western set. But what they got out of it, and how they approached it,
that's the whole point. They could have used any one of the backlot Western.
The fully developed,
They could have had real horses and tumbleweeds.
So they decided to use this sparse set. So when Behan comes out in the conversation, and the crew,
he said he takes them deeper in, because he says, "You're the Clantons," because they can't figure out why they are where they are up until that point.
Right.
Yeah. He says, "You're the Clantons," and then Kirk goes, "Clantons." Uh-oh.
And McCoy chimes in. He's got a little piece of it.
Yeah. And Spock has a little piece of it.
Spock has the rest of it. and saying that this is the
and as a group,
OK Corral.
And as a group, they're in, because it's like, now you fully bought in. I'm Mike Clanton, and it's the day of the gunfight at the OK Corral, and I know what happens.
It's like getting laboratory tests back one at a time. It tells you you've got
you're doomed.
You're doomed. It's like, well, maybe my blood work will be. Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, well, let me take a look at the X-ray. Oh boy, that's bad. I better look at the CAT scan.
What's that black spot?
What's that black spot? It just, the Malcotians were taking them through
step by step
of stripping away
the
tumor. Doubt. Yeah,
it's a tumor.
Yeah.
And Chekhov has no idea.
No, little boy from Russia.
What's going on? He has no idea, because he goes, the Clantons lose, and Chekhov goes, lose.
Yeah. Well, he's a little boy from Russia. He does not know.
It means we're going to die.
Right.
We're going to die here, Chekhov.
But more genius. They figure out a way to get old Chekhov involved, because he's not buying in.
No.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right, because he's the most naive. So naivete is the most permeable to manipulation. In other words, I mean, people think, well, you're naive, you could be manipulated a lot, but it takes more sometimes, because they're not going to respond in a way that an experienced I know what you're trying to do to me. You know?
Chekhov doesn't have any point of reference.
Right. There's no
to
POV.
To build a thought pattern that this is real yet.
Right. It takes him down the path.
He has no point of reference. He's separated from it.
Mm-hmm. So they give it to him, because while they're standing out there contemplating, a ruckus breaks out in the saloon. A chair gets thrown through the window. A guy comes running out and promptly gets gunned down by Morgan Earp.
Now, this is a part that initially started to rub me wrong.
I know. That's what was great about it.
Who cares because this guy's not real. He's not real. He wasn't a member. It'd be different if they walked up and say, hey, that's Lieutenant Joe Bob who got blew down. Then it would be, this is some character on a human on an alien planet.
Random Western guy.
So why do you worry about him being dead? He's not even a real person.
But in reality, it's confirmation.
Right.
These things work.
It's the next reinforcement of, like, do you think we're going to show you death?
We're going to show you somebody.
But it's not a body. It's not a human. It's not a person.
But they've bought in.
It's the symbolism.
It's not that they don't know it's not a real person. It's that they know in the context they've been put in.
See, they never would have been able to kill me, because I ain't buying.
I still don't believe it.
Still don't. I'm like, shoot you, so and so. I don't believe none of y'all.
The Malcotians would have engineered it, though. They would have found out what you believed in and then worked from there.
They would have worked on you because then they're drawn into the saloon. And they meet the enemy. They meet Morgan Earp, which is weird, because in every other telling of this story, Morgan's not this.
He's not the bloodthirsty,
cold-blooded killer. He's the nice one.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing. They had to show. Didn't matter what he killed. He could have shot a cow.
Yeah.
What they were trying to establish is that
the guns are going to work.
No, that he will. He has no regard for
life.
For life. Right. In other words, why did he shoot this guy? Did the guy draw? I don't remember seeing him draw.
The guy comes running out, turns around like he's going to draw.
No, he got thrown out.
Yeah, he got thrown.
Yeah, he turns around like he might be going for his gun, and he gets shot before he can even.
Yeah, he didn't even draw his gun, and he was shot. So you got this cold-blooded murder in front of you, and then you're walking into the place with him.
But they give you the line that plants that thought.
Right.
Morgan Earp, the guy that kills on sight, the man that kills on sight, and that kind of threw me, because I'm like, that's a rough portrayal of Morgan. That goes against all. Yeah, that goes against all types.
Well, that's why when we were kids, we thought the Earps were the bad guys, because what good guy kills on sight?
It bothered me. Yeah, he does draw.
He did draw. Yeah.
It bothered me because I grew up watching the old westerns, and I knew the Earps were the good guys. So this was messing with my expectations. This was a subversion of my expectations. So I'm like, whoa.
Well, that's the tyranny of story, that we have to believe that there's a good and bad guys.
Yeah.
There's just a side you root for.
Yeah,
they're all bad guys.
There's the side you're on.
Yeah.
There's the side you're on.
It's the side you're on.
But so here's where Chekhov gets his. They go in the saloon, and Sylvia's awful glad to see Billy Claiborne, because Chekhov's Billy Claiborne. He gets all the mental stimulation he can handle,
and he's got 2 guns.
Yeah,
he gets the girl Rapsy man.
But should we kind of break a little bit and talk about how all of us are just not getting the Davy Jones Chekhov written into being the teenage heartthrob?
Yeah, that was a mistake.
That was a fail.
That was a mistake for the showrunners.
That was a fail. Yeah.
One, you cheesed off one of your senior cast.
Yeah.
Sulu. 2, you write Chekhov in 2 points. One is a heartthrob, and the other is a butt of jokes.
Right.
As a comic relief. And he can't be both.
Right.
Well, it's like Palpatine said, he's this innocent young guy. He's Ensign Chekhov, but it makes him the butt of the joke, or the guy that gets in trouble, the guy that has to be helped, the guy that has to be saved. And like you say, you can't be that guy and the heartthrob.
And you could they shoehorn it in sometimes. Like, Chekhov is making out in front of his captain while he's on duty.
Like hardcore.
And he's like, I can't help myself.
Like hardcore.
Oh, look at her.
I've got
to maintain good relations.
I was waiting for Chekhov to look at Captain Kirk and go, "It's your brain. I mean, I'm just rolling with it. This is
no, this is coming out of your brain, Captain.
It's your brain.
Hey, how much time we got? We can run up. Me and the girl can run upstairs. Oh yeah, there's no stairs.
Why didn't they put in an upstairs? How am I supposed to enjoy this? Yeah, I'm waiting for Chekhov to literally look at him and go, "This is your mind, Captain."
Yeah.
But he doesn't. But Chekhov's in now. He's got a motivation. He's in.
Another interesting point is when Morgan is facing off against Kirk, and Kirk does
stand up.
He's as the captain. He rises to the occasion
to speak. Yes,
rises to the occasion. I'm a man of authority. I'm a man of action. He's standing there.
But Kirk's not standing to fight. He's standing to talk.
But Morgan is a guy that shoots you for no reason.
Right.
So Spock stands up next to him and
goes,
"Hey, Captain."
No, he even goes so far as says, "This is the one reality."
Yeah.
He says to him, "This is the one reality, like in all this, is that he will kill you and you will be dead."
Right.
Like, once again, Count Spock-ula
is
on the wrong side of this.
Yeah, but Spock's giving him a hint because you as a captain, you stand up to those who you think are wrong. And Spock's like, "You can't stand here, buddy."
This is not the time.
I almost want to see Spock sit down and pull Kirk.
Pull Kirk's tail.
Coattail. You need to sit down before you get blew out your shoes, buddy.
What I love in Spock's delivery is he goes, "Sit down and don't move your hands in any way."
Look at Kirk's face. Have you ever seen that expression on Sir William in this?
It's
role?
fear. It's fear. It's straight up fear. Kirk's realizing what Spock is saying, that Morgan Earp's gonna gun him down right now, and he can't do anything about it, and it's fear. Kirk's like, whoa. Well,
the thing is, I think one of the reasons Sir William played this almost over the top, and almost, to me, every scene it seemed like he was just pushing it, is because these are the fears from his mind.
Yes.
Right? He should be the one that's most impacted by something as simple as standing up, because Spock just turns to him and says, you need to be careful, because this is where you're going to get killed. And Kirk's like, I think you're right.
I'm getting ready to get killed.
Right.
Standing up for which might be the right thing can still get you blew out of your shoes.
Mm-hmm. Did you think as a kid?
That's a hard fact of life.
Did you think as a kid or even as an adult that he would have killed him?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That
absolutely.
The Earps that were played in this, the threatening in it, and sometimes you think it's just like, you're just playing the villain or whatever. There are shots of them just looking at them, and you can feel the hate.
All four of them. All three Earp brothers and Doc Holliday are almost Terminator level guys in this.
They're menacing.
Yeah, but there's a coldness and a certainty of it that's just like, hey, I'm a robot from the future. I've been sent to take you out. Because every one of them, when they introduced them, the way, the delivery of the lines, the stare, everything is just, it's in the scenario, we told you not to come back to town. 5 o'clock, you're a dead man. Or now, if you want it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish these guys would have gotten a bonus check for their acting. The secondary I know they didn't, but when you look at old Westerns and you see the villain, he's comical.
Sometimes, yeah.
You look at him and go, these guys, they're over the top, they're comical, they're doing stuff and saying things, they're shooting people for no good reason.
There's some exceptions, but
they're like, man, this guy's not
well, they're
frightening.
portrayed.
He's not terrifying. He's a joke.
Even in Tombstone with Kurt Russell, you know, the
Curly Bill.
Yeah, they're like insane, giggly hyena types.
Right.
In this one, the Earps are just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Kill you.
And you can say and do whatever you want, but it's not going to change. What has occurred before is signed, sealed, and delivered. There's no discussion. Even there's a point where Kirk goes, "There's no negotiating with the Earps.
Right.
They're done." And when they're on screen and they look at those characters, you 100% believe that it's like you can't do anything. There's a point where Kirk goes to talk to them and shows up in there,
right?
And I'm like, you dumb so and so.
That's when he meets Virgil.
Yeah, you're like, you're crazy, man. You're crazy for going in there.
So, the bartender comes in and Kirk's having a conversation with him and trying to get him to
see that he's not Ike Clanton.
He's not Ike Clanton. Once again, it messed with me because why are you getting a hologram, whatever you think they are, to recognize you as who you say you are when the entity you're talking to is not real to begin with?
And what's disconcerting?
That's what upset me.
And what's so disconcerting about it is what it really is that Kirk has bought into it to the point where, based on the lines he delivers in this part of the episode, you almost think he believes he's been teleported to the past.
That's right. He's treating holograms like they're real people,
and he's been transplanted back to 1881. That's how he's behaving.
Mm-hmm. And like I say, that bothers me. So he goes through this whole thing talking to the bartender, trying to get the bartender to see that he's not Ike Clanton. And the bartender gives this perfect line. He goes, yeah, it doesn't matter what I believe you to be.
It's what the Earps
believe. It doesn't matter who I think you are.
And what's great about that line, you're that much deeper in. You say what you want, Ike. I'll laugh with you. I'll buy into whatever you say. They're going to kill you.
That's right. And that's the thing is like, you're right. What Kirk is trying to say is like he's trying to take apart the simulation logically.
Yes.
And the simulation looks him right back in the face and goes,
"There's no getting off this train.
Doesn't matter if you convince me that you're James T. Kirk.
You're getting shot at 5 o'clock.
You're getting shot at 5 o'clock by a simulation that when you go talk to him, he's going to tell you, I'm going to shoot you at 5 o'clock. So do what you want. It's funny. You're making me laugh. That's why we like you boys.
You are literally in the world of the Terminator.
Yes.
They don't care.
Can't be negotiated.
Can't be bargained with.
No. That's what they do.
This is what
all they do.
They are going to shoot you at 5.
Mm-hmm.
ERP 1000 is shooting you at 5:01. Period.
I just love the way that bartender's like, that's why we love you Clanton boys, you and your jokes. And then finally he gets to the point and he's like,
mad.
Yeah, gets mad at him and he goes, you know what? Doesn't matter what I think.
But that's what's great about, because Kirk at this point begins to spiral a little bit. And you mentioned it already. This is when Kirk runs across the street to go and runs into the marshal's office and goes, hey, man.
He walks in there and there's look at that long barrel 45 Colt.
That's probably 44.
44. It's stretched across the doorway.
Yeah, that 13-inch barrel.
13-inch barrel.
But Kirk is spiraling at this point, and until you realize it seems dumb, but Kirk's literally running across the street saying, hey, man, I'm not Ike Clanton. I don't want to be shot at 5:01. Stop it. And dude's like, say what you want, Ike. Your jokes are funny. 5:01, baby. You get shot.
Or now
if you want.
Right.
Yeah, that's just.
And then when Kirk puts hands on Virgil.
Oh yeah, that was a bad movie.
Virgil's just looking at him like, and Virgil just kind of calms down. He's got his double barrel shotgun. He's like, 5 o'clock. Yeah, 5 o'clock. And
he even says, he goes, we're done talking.
Yeah, we're done. And all it does in Kirk's mind is lock him in even more. There's no way out. Your clever tricks are not going to work this time, Kirk. 5 o'clock, bullets fly. You're done.
So Kirk goes to the next logical thing. We're not going to be in town at 5 o'clock. Like it's the whole history will repeat itself stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Well, what was the name of that Minority Report?
Yeah.
If I'm not there, it can't happen.
It can't happen.
Right. Well, things.
But you will be there.
Things conspire for you to be there. So Kirk comes back to the guys and goes, "Hey, ain't no way talking. No point of us talking to the clans. They gonna gun us down no matter what." And Chekhov goes, "Well, what do we do then?" He goes, "The better part of valor.
We run.
We
run.
We run.
We get out of town.
Getting out of Dodge.
Tombstone." And it's the genius of the writing because you're perplexed. They're perplexed. The only people that know what's going on for sure is the Earps. The Earps are sure what's going to happen.
Yes, they are.
But so yeah, then they try to leave town and ye old force field at the city limits. You're not going anywhere.
Yep, you can't escape.
And
your destiny is written.
So then Kirk's still trying to be Kirk. He's like, there's got to be a way out of this. Now Kirk's totally bought into it because he's treating, to your point, Daystrom, he's treating them as human beings now. He's bought in. He's in.
So Scotty makes a point somewhere in this. He goes, "Well, we got guns too. Let's
fight him out."
And Kirk's like, "Man, these are gunfighters. Have you ever shot a 1980 something pistol?
1800s pistol.
1800s pistol.
Sulu has.
Sulu's not down here. Sulu's not down here with us. You're going to get blew out of your shoes, buddy.
Talking about shoehorning Chekhov into an ensemble cast and not serving any purpose. Somebody took a turn to Chekhov and slapped him and said, "You should be Sulu. We should get out of this right now."
Should have been Sulu.
Sulu could have went out there and shot it out under Western skies. But
Scotty's idea, well, we can fight.
We can fight it.
Kirk's like, these are professional gunmen.
No, what I like about that, Kirk knows enough to know that what they do with phasers is completely different than these old school carbon cordite gunpowder flying, lead throwing weapons. He knows the skill set is not the same. Kirk's like, yeah, if we had our phasers, we could handle some business.
Well, say what you want. Say what you want about the Old West or the legends or what we choose to believe to be true. The ability to stand 20 feet in front of another person
with a pistol?
And you have a pistol
and hit him,
and you have to hit him. And if you think you can just,
shooting back at you,
you could just take that weapon out without it looking like it's like,
first you got to be willing to stand in front of a dude who's got a pistol.
And in real life, most of the time they didn't actually do that.
Right. Well, most people can't do it. They can't do it. Unforgiven is
you had to have guts. You had to have guts just to walk into a saloon back then because everybody was armed.
Unforgiven is probably my favorite Western ever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when who was it?
Clint Eastwood.
No, it wasn't
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman tells the guy, pick up the gun. And the Beauchamp, pick up the gun. And he grabs it and he goes, it's heavy, isn't it? Mm. It's hot, isn't it? Yeah. The movie's so realistic because it puts in you the reality
of what's going on,
of that pistol. And you got to stand there in front of another man
who's going to shoot back,
who's going to throw lead down your way,
and who seems much more comfortable with it than you, by the way.
And he says, "This is as fast as I can draw and hit something." And in that same scene, he goes, "Give it to English Bob. Give it to English Bob." And English Bob, and because the writer goes, "What if I give it to him?" He goes, "Give it to him." And English Bob comes over there, he's getting ready to grab it, and Gene Hackman's just got his hand on there, and he goes. And then he backed away and he goes, he was right not to take it, Bob, because I would have killed you.
The reality of
the implications.
gunfight. You know, so when Scotty comes up with the idea, it's like,
we're not gonna make it.
We ain't going down that road because we're doomed.
We're not gonna make it, right? We don't have that skill set.
So they try to get out of town. They can't get out of town.
So then they come up with there's got to be a way to incapacitate these guys.
Kirk, after the Gorn fight, how do we win this, right?
Right.
Come on.
1881 tech. What can we do?
I've got my engineer here. I got my science officer here. I got the little fodder boy. I got my doctor to patch us up. Come on.
Why is Chekhov there? Why is Chekhov there?
Bring in the young kids.
No. I mean, if I'm thinking about a landing party.
Why is Chekhov there?
Why do I need him?
You don't.
Experience.
Okay. All right.
No, I can come up with a perfectly good reason why Chekhov's there. It's supposed to be a first contact situation. He's a young ensign. You're giving him experience. You're letting him beam down to the planet to meet the aliens.
I get it. I get it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I ain't buying it, Admiral, but it sounds good. If you say that's what it is, that's what it is. But
the Admiral always sends a useless ensign down first. The Admiral always.
So now they need about 37 different ingredients and mechanisms, which are all, of course, going to be found in town. And they decide that they're gonna battle this. Instead of with the sword, they're gonna do it with the pen.
Smoke grenade.
Smoke grenade.
Well, Spock starts talking
CS
about.
grenade.
I don't have gold. I don't have platinum. I don't have all these special things that we can use. We got to use it with
for a communicator, because they says something about making a communicator.
Yeah, because they still think they might be able to reach the ship.
So we got to use this
that they're already on.
This very basic stuff and create the smoke bomb. So McCoy goes to the dentist office to get stuff. Now, me as a young kid, I didn't know Doc Holliday from Adam West.
I knew Doc Holliday.
That's because you were big. You were watching westerns. I wasn't.
The history stuff, yeah.
So he goes in there, and you got the guy who's a barber. I thought it was a barber shop, but McCoy's starting to pocket stuff, and the barber starts backing up. He's like, "Well,
that stuff belongs to him."
You know, he goes, "Well, I want to use this, and I want to use it." Well, sir, you need to talk to him.
Because this stuff belongs to him.
The guy getting shaved takes the stuff off and he goes, "Yeah, that's my stuff. You know, who do you think you are?"
Claiborne
and
Doc Holliday.
We have the introduction of Doc Holliday, who according to his story,
he was the real deal.
He was the real
deal.
The real gunslinger.
Yeah, he was dangerous. He was a dangerous man. Of course, when you know you got a terminal disease, that makes you unfetters you, and you can be very brave.
What are you going to do longer?
I'm your huckleberry.
Oh, that's a good.
It's actually. You want some useless trivia? He doesn't say I'm your huckleberry. He says I'm your hucklebearer. The handles on coffins back then were known as huckles, and a pallbearer, a hucklebearer is what it means. That means I'm going to carry your coffin. Oh. Not I'm your huckleberry. If you slow it down, he says I'll be your hucklebearer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
that's nice. Hey. That makes it even better.
Well, useless trivia. Yeah,
I still think Huckleberry sounds.
Yeah. Well, either way, yeah. when you're the fastest dentist in the West, you can make it happen.
So,
but again, back to what we were talking about. Doc Holliday is menacing.
Yes.
And McCoy standing there looking at him like, "Really, dude? You just gonna?" And McCoy's looking at his watch. 5 o'clock. I have time.
I like when Holliday says, "You know what? Take it in here. Take my bag," and he tosses it to him. And he doesn't say it, but he's like, "Because you're only going to have it for 2 hours."
Well, no, he says, "Have your fun."
Right.
Because at 5 o'clock.
I'm going to put a hole in your head with this gun.
Another thing I like about it is none of the supporting cast, the actors, none of them are handsome men. They look rough.
They're rough characters.
They look rough.
Actually, there's no Val Kilmer in this Doc Holliday.
Actually, except for Sylvia, everybody in town looks that way. Everybody in town looks rough and kind of what you would expect.
Right.
And so, to Jim's point, all the character actors in this are amazing. Mm-hmm. Them playing off, the crew, is just amazing performances, and it just sucks you in deeper. It's just that much more perplexing.
Because I remember the girl, and there's a scene where she goes and sits down with Chekhov, and she's like, I found this material for a dress, and when we go to the dance together, and maybe we could make it into a wedding and stuff. And I was just a little kid, and I was like, I like to have a girlfriend like that. She wants to marry me. She's so sweet.
Yeah, she's binding Chekhov, and not to say that marriage binds men.
No,
she's binding Chekhov to the reality.
But the scenario
to get him to fight for his girl.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The scenario decides.
Setting him up.
The scenario decides to Chekhov off the books early.
Oh yeah.
It creates a situation where
Look at her smile. She's calculating it. How many more of these "Do you love me's" I got to give him? Before Earp comes along and ventilates his chest.
She loved Chekhov evolve into a horny toad. Chekhov is the Melkotians have decided to check Chekhov's box off early, and they push him over the edge.
He goes, "Don't you understand what kind of person I am?" And she goes, "I know you're a cattle rustler and a horse thief, and you're about to get shot dead, but I love you anyways."
I love you so much, you're going to be dead in 5 minutes instead of an hour.
Yeah.
And Morgan appears out of nowhere and makes it happen.
Well, he throws Chekhov to the ground, so it hits him.
Punches him in the face. And the thing of it is Chekhov doesn't even actually try to draw on him.
Nope.
He just approaches him.
Yeah, that's his mistake. And that's where I cried out. And I said, shoot him in the back. And Mark's like, you can't shoot him. Daystrom's like, you can't shoot him in the back. He's a hero.
Yeah.
So
Star Trek won't allow.
So you have the man in black, Western villain, and you have Chekhov, who's supposed to be the hero, who in reality in the story would be a villain.
Would be the villain.
And Chekhov tries to walk up, and boom, the cannon goes off, and Chekhov falls.
Dead.
And nobody's around. All the other guys are somewhere else. And they hear the sound of that cannon.
That peacemaker.
Yep.
Chekhov's that piece.
They hear the sound of that smoke wagon.
That's one word for it, yeah. Smoke wagon. Peacemaker.
What was the cult saying?
God made man, Samuel Colt made him equal.
Made all men equal. Yeah.
Because it only takes one bullet per dude.
Oh yeah, everybody's equal when
hot piece of lead go flying through your body.
Yeah.
I bet you there was not a single holster and 45 left in the Desilu prop room. I was looking at all the gun belts and everything.
Yeah.
Like Nimoy's gun belt's like slung at 45 degrees, man. Yeah, he's got that low draw going.
Yeah. Leonard Nimoy standing there like I've been in a Western. I know how to wear this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they come up, and I think Spock says, how is he? Is he alive, dead? And McCoy goes, he's dead. Now, you don't see any blood on him.
Nope.
But Chekhov is dead. And then they switch scenes. They show a little
Naboo droid comes out and goes, his heart is breaking.
So you see the Clantons and you see the Earp standing off,
right.
And it's like, is it? Well, we gonna do this now? And one of them, I think, not Ike, the Earp.
Virgil.
Virgil.
No.
Morgan.
No.
Wyatt.
We're out of it.
Wyatt says, "We gonna do this now."
Scotty's like, let's do it now.
It's like, don't be an idiot.
So
Scotty wanted it now.
Yeah, Scotty was pissed. And I understand it.
Because he's bought in.
But the scene switches. They're back
in the saloon.
And Spock is somewhat cold.
Spock's staying on mission like he always does.
Right.
Spock's trying to figure this thing out.
And everybody's upset. And then
McCoy and Scotty go out.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of the wine from, I was saying, I was being a little bit, when I was talking about the Goodwill Hunting scene of the commander about, I got him killed and stuff. You get a little bit of that from Kirk. He's kind of distant a bit. And he's like, maybe if I had listened to the Melkotians, then Chekhov wouldn't be dead. And he said it, and they heard it.
But that's all part of Kirk kind of unraveling, because the other thing, we mentioned it briefly, but it actually happens where Kirk goes to see Behan again, and Kirk's flipping out.
No, that's a good point, because you're right. Kirk's emotional resilience in this episode is being worn down, because how many people have died because of his decisions?
And he kept on rocking.
And he just goes, I'm the captain, and that's what happens. It's not that he's unfeeling or uncaring.
Right.
But in front of his senior officers, he's not gonna verbalize
his
regret for a decision and an order that he was following.
But the point is, he had an order, and he could have chosen to accept the Melkoshian's warning as being,
But they've got him in a place where he's cracking.
So when Scotty and McCoy go on Spock, Kirk's like, hold on, this is a little bit too far, and Spock goes, you forget
I'm half human.
I'm half human. I have feelings too, but we still got to stay on task. So Kirk's thinking once again, trying to formulate a way out. Let me go back and talk to the sheriff and try to get this straightened out.
This is the Melkoshian Gam Jabbar on Kirk.
Oh, yes,
it is crisis and observation. The scenario is going to run it until Kirk is got his hands around somebody's neck or a gun drawn, and that he's totally lost it. And then what decision does he make? Does he chew off his own leg, or does he take the pain and he's identified as a human being?
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
for those of you that don't know what a Gam Jabbar is, it's Dune. A new movie's coming out, but I'm not sure it's going to be any good.
It's a hard movie to do, because I think
Sci-Fi Channel did the best version of it.
Yeah.
When Sci-Fi Channel actually tried to do something good other than sharks falling from the sky.
Yeah. The problem with Dune is always going to be is that you have to accept what Paul is not willing to do. And that's not what the hero character is supposed to do. And you're definitely not supposed to push that suffering reality onto your own son.
Well, he didn't. His son picked it up.
Well,
he didn't push it onto him.
He knew if he didn't take it. He knew if he didn't do it, what was Leto going to do? Not do it?
Well,
so
yeah.
Read Dune.
Men, when we start to film Men Off Track, maybe we'll tackle some Dune stuff. So
go since the movies are questionable, go read Dune or go listen to Dune. But so, and this was the scene that really kind of got me, and we've already kind of talked about why. When Kirk goes to hunts down Behan, and by now you kind of realize it's a simulation if you really pay attention to it. He goes to the sheriff's office, which is just a front wall that says sheriff on it. And when he looks through the window, Behan magically appears behind him and goes, "Looking for me?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes at Behan. He doesn't even try not to be Ike Clanton so much anymore. He's just like, he's like, okay, I'm in. I'll be Ike Clanton. But
let's get to town.
Stop this. Stop this. Help me stop this, Behan. You're my buddy. You're my ally. I'm buying in this scenario. I'm playing along. Help me stop this. I don't want to do this. And Behan's like, no. You're locked in, man. You said you wanted this. You did this.
Right.
And Kirk kind of flips out because it's weird because Behan's like, no, just kill the Earps.
And all's good.
And he's like, no Marcus to Queensberry, man. Hide behind the barrels and bushwhack him, and right. Any way you can get it done.
Kirk's like, I don't want to kill him. I don't want to kill him. And Behan's like, kill him any way you can. Right. I was like, Jesus.
But it's when Kirk flips out like, I can't kill him. I don't want to kill him. And that's where I had my disconnect because, like we said, how many people's Kirk killed himself?
Right.
When he had to.
Right.
So for Kirk to be having a meltdown talking about, I don't want to kill Wyatt Earp, it was kind of weird, but it's like Kirk's down the rabbit hole. He's totally bought in, and he's trying to figure out how to get out of this, and he's surrendered.
Well, he doesn't have to buy into it because it's his own mind. All the Melkoshians are doing is just taking what he has. It's just, what's that famous line from the Joker? I took your little plan, and I turned it back on itself.
Yeah.
Morgan's a schemer. Wyatt's a schemer.
Yeah.
And it's like, he says, the sheriff says, there'll be no questions asked. Honest. After they go at each other and he's like, kill him any way you can. And guess what? There won't be
Nobody says anything.
Nobody says anything. Now that's the Melkoshian saying to him in his mind,
just do what you got to do.
Kill them. And guess what? There won't be any questions.
Right.
There won't be any questions.
Everything will be fine.
Do what it is that you do.
Do what you
do. What you do. There's no questions.
Yeah.
We already know. We know. We think we know
who you are.
Who you are and what you'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kirk flipping out in this moment was like, wow, you know.
Man, the acting.
The acting's good.
The acting's good. The
guy supporting actor. Yeah, the guy who plays
B-Han. The guy who plays B-Han. It's not done in a joking manner. It's not done in an off-kiltered manner. It's not done in we're in a fantasy world, man. It's done in reality.
Yeah.
Do it, man. Do what you got to do.
And what makes it real is it's actually coming from a place of fear. B-Han represents everybody in the town in that moment saying, we're scared of these guys. You're the one that's supposed to be able to handle them. You said you'd handle them. Do what you got to do. Pull any dirty trick you got to pull, but deliver us from the Earps.
And it's not, honor is gone.
Yeah,
it's not about, he's like, get down there early, bushwhack them.
Right.
And nobody's going to ask any questions. And Kirk's like, I can't just kill him. And he goes, you have to kill them.
Yeah. And Kirk's like, I can't. And he's flipping out.
Kill him any way you can.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's
great scene. Great scene.
So then they get Kirk heads back to the saloon in defeat, but Spock says, "Ye old grenade is ready."
And this is where James Doohan just, I mean, every once in a while you look at an actor commit, and they hit this smoke grenade. I don't know what was in it, but there was smoke coming out of it. And he is putting it in his
hold on
face.
before he gets there. Scotty takes a shot
belt of the bourbon.
Yeah, and Spock goes, "What's that for?" He goes, "To kill the pain."
Spock says, "There's no pain.
There's no pain. You should have told me that beforehand."
Scotty's looking at him like, "Too bad. I had a drink."
Mm-hmm. So go ahead. And
I don't know if maybe it's dry ice or something that's coming out of there. But if you watch the scene, like look at. He's
just taking it all in. He's like, knock me out.
You can't even see his face.
He's knocked me out.
He takes a double whiff.
Yeah, he goes back for it some more.
And Kirk is furious with his men.
Yeah, Kirk is upset.
Kirk's like, you bums. You said this would work.
Yeah.
But this is the moment for Spock. This is where Spock is freed.
This is the court martial where he beats the computer.
Yeah.
In chess.
Yeah.
And he's like, I shouldn't have been able to do this. And this should have worked.
Yeah. Spock's like, the laws of physics are physics.
You're right. Yeah. So Spock and McCoy. So McCoy goes, look, the science is the science. I use the proper plants.
Right.
We should get this response.
A, then B.
We should get this. Something's wrong.
Scotty should be unconscious.
Something's wrong here. And Spock's like, yeah, it's not adding up. It's not adding up.
Right.
And Billy Boy shouldn't have died because he's supposed to survive the OK Corral.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the whole scenario that they're all supposed to die.
Right.
But something else is going on because the mechanisms of the world we've been put into are not real.
Right.
This is not necessarily real. Something's wrong.
So now it moves from being an immovable track to this is a game that can be beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're waiting. They're like, we're not going down we're not even going to go to the OK Corral. We're not showing up.
Zoom in, zoom out. 10
minutes to 5. We're going to stay in the saloon and hide.
Yeah.
Or not.
Zoom in, zoom out.
Right.
And they're there. They're like, let's get out of here.
Force fields on the gates.
And they start running to the exits, and you can't get out.
Right. But Spock's realizing
it's not Spock anymore. It's Count Spock-ula.
Count Spock-ula has
He takes his robe out, puts it on. I want to now mind meld with you.
But see, that is my Spock because he's solving my problem. not like the Empire Spock, mirror Spock. That's not my Spock.
Not the mirror Spock.
This not my Spock, not my problem. It's my Spock. He's solving my problem.
Here we go.
Spock realizes that this is purely a matter of belief.
Yep.
And that this is purely a thing of what they believe will come to pass.
This is all in their mind.
All in their minds.
Yep.
And he starts to do the hooky pooky.
Spark.
Look deeply into my eyes.
It's not
They
going
are
to be.
phantasms. They are fakes, not
It is
real.
not going to be fun for you,
Not fun
but
for-
it's going to be fun for me.
And we get another great McCoy 2-minute close up without a single blink of his eye.
Yeah.
God, that guy could just hold it.
McCoy should have busted out and tried to run out of the corral. Not again.
Not again.
Not again. Not again. Not again.
Spock has been too deep in my mind.
Mirror, mirror, universe. Same deal.
You. McCoy should have flipped out. McCoy should have flipped out and started yelling at Kirk and Scotty. You don't know what it's like. I'm getting out of here.
So Spock enters all their minds.
He mind melds with everyone.
And, well, McCoy, when they come up with the idea,
Right.
McCoy goes, Spock says, all you got to do is accept that this is not real. McCoy goes, that's easy for you.
There'll always be some doubt.
It's easy for you, but
You don't
it's
got
not, that's not easy for a human.
You don't got those scrambled eggs up there like we do.
Right.
I know yours is hard boiled.
That's
right. You can pull off layers. Ours is jumbled up.
Mm-hmm.
And so Spock has to do the mind meld and bring
Count Spock-ula.
and bring them all to the point where they accept that what they're about to face is not real.
Right.
Not real.
And then the Earps walk up. And
Kirk goes for his weapon, and then they blow holes in the wood behind them.
Yeah. Yeah, they dump 6 or 7 6-shooters worth of bullets into the fence. While they just stand there, and the bullets don't have any effect. And then
Kirk goes into
Kirk gets to do what he does.
Captain Tracy mode.
Kirk busts out the judo,
That's right.
beats Wyatt to the ground.
And then pulls his gun, puts it in his face.
The moment of truth.
Yeah.
He can kill Wyatt. He can kill Wyatt Earp, and as soon as he doesn't,
They are back on the bridge.
and this
No transporter. They're back on the bridge.
because they never left the bridge. This
That's
is so similar, and I made statements to the First Federation, First Contact. The episode dealing with the First Federation, you have the
Corbomite.
Corbomite maneuver. You have the buoy. They overcome. They ignore the buoy.
warning,
Mm-hmm.
They come up the First Federation ship.
the test,
They're given a sentence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
right?
They overcome the sentence, and then they're tested, and they survive the test, and then first contact is made with the little baby child,
That was almost as disturbing as this episode.
and they overcome it because they did not resort to violence overall.
They controlled their violent impulse. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're back on the bridge, and they're checking, it's like, why is Chekhov alive? Well, they never left the bridge.
Right.
Chekhov only believed in the girl. My boy Chekhov
Yeah.
only believed in the girl.
Then the buoy self-destructs. And then the Malcotians come on and say,
Call them up and go, you guys aren't so bad.
yeah, come on down. We're going to have some chips and salsa. We're going to talk about your federation.
Let's talk about it. Well, Kirk
About how we can dominate your federation and your race. Come on down.
Kirk jumps up. Kirk jumps up and delivers his elevator pitch for universal peace. He says, we're part of a vast federation, and we want you to join, you weirdos.
You mind-dominating monsters.
I'll approach our planet and be welcome.
I wouldn't trust it. Kirk come back reporting a successful first contact meeting, and actually the Malcotians just had him sitting on the ship brained for 2 days and sent him home.
Now, I know everybody who has enjoyed Men on Track have already seen the menagerie, have already seen the cage.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who have not, or your family or friends who are not really Trekkies, get them to watch the menagerie
And the cage.
and 1 and 2.
Watch the cage first.
In the cage and Spectre of the gun. Get them to look at it. It's really interesting.
Telepaths are bad.
Telepaths are terrible.
Mm-hmm. Psionics.
And actually, speaking of people that enjoy Men on Track, 100 plus, gentlemen.
100 subscribers.
100 subscribers.
On the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for everyone that's subscribing and following and liking and commenting. We appreciate it. I'm glad you're here with us. Glad you're enjoying yourselves as we take our little journey.
We hope you enjoy Trek as much as we do.
Yeah.
Seems almost impossible.
To enjoy it as much as we do?
Yes.
I think it would be cool to kind of, if they're like us, kind of rediscovering it, so to speak.
And if you listen in any one of our episodes where you have a different thought,
put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. We want to hear it.
Yeah, we want to hear it. We want to read it.
And I think we would like nothing more than to produce a Women on Trek series. So, no.
Sure. Why not? We're certainly not qualified to do it. So. But Spectre of the Gun. I think we all got to admit, not as bad as we thought.
No. Peel the onion.
Way too meaty for a child. Way too meaty for a child.
And almost way too meaty for 3 adults sitting in this room. Four of us. We almost missed the bus on it.
It took us a while to peel through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people actually got what was being portrayed, or did it just go over their heads and it left them uneasy?
Hey, I'll tell you. I just got it, and I've seen that episode a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
honestly, today was the day I actually got a grip on
what
why that episode was so uneasy in my mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Genius writing and portrayal.
Absolutely.
Really, seriously.
Great acting.
Even if overall the episode is not like, whoo, it's not what you remember as a fun episode, but just very well executed.
And that's my point. In a lot of the Star Trek episodes we think are fun are not the ones with the most meat.
No, they're not.
It's the episodes we don't like.
I got to go see now. I got to hit a couple of the top 10 lists and see or top 100 or whatever. See where Spectre of the Gun tends to fall. See if anybody else gets it.
It doesn't.
I know it's not a top 10.
No.
I think most people didn't get it.
No.
So go back and watch Spectre of the Gun and get it. Mm-hmm. You are put on this earth to get it. So go get it.
You were not put on this earth to get it, Mr.
Bud.
Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Yeah. Another movie you can go see.
Absolutely.
And then you can jump from there to Tombstone. And then you can jump from there to Tombstone because the same actor's in it. And then you're back where you started from.
There you go. Full stalker.
Spectre of the Gun. Messes with your mind.
Click like and subscribe.
Yeah, because hopefully we messed with your mind today. Another Men on Trek episode. Out.